Happy Monday. Hopefully everyone had an awesome weekend. I gave myself a 3-day weekend to work on my shed and kind of overheated on Friday. Yeah, but I got the roof done. Now I just got to do the front and back walls and it'll be mostly done, be usable. Now it's a nice 95-degree day here in Austin, Texas, the great city of Austin, Texas, the capital of Texas. And just like the weather is heating up, it's going to be 3 digits for the foreseeable future. And just like the weather here in Texas, politics, the election cycle is really heating up. And really, for some context here, I think people might want to know or not know or indifferent, but this is CNN. Biden former executive assistant schedules interviews to hand over materials to lawmakers in classified doc investigation. President Joe, President Joe Biden, former executive assistant Kathy Chung, has scheduled an interview with the House Oversight Committee next month. Actually, when was this written? It's written in March. Keep in mind that this was really the only story I heard. Like they're not really reporting on it. It's here, Kathy Oversight Committee, Republican-led committee, sent over a letter to Chong last month demanding an interview and information related to classified documents and communication with the Biden family dating back more than 10 years. Chung also recently handed over files related to the movement of documents when then Vice President left office and how they ended up at the Penn Biden Center, his private think tank. According to one source familiar with the matter, Chung was one of the staffers who packed Biden's belongings and documents at the end of his time as vice president. Source said those boxes eventually ended up at Penn Biden Center and now at the center of a special counsel investigation into possible mishandling of classified material. The source, who is close to Chung, previously told CNN that she feels partly responsible for the situation. The committee made broad requests that asked for materials and well beyond Biden's document investigation, including all communications with Biden's family dating back to 2019. Not 19, 2009. The panel also demanded that all documents and communication related to then Vice President Biden's departure from office in 2017, including communications regarding Penn Biden Center. The letter notes, Chung's lawyer, Bill Taylor, previously told CNN that there are limits to what they are willing to provide. She's not agreeing to produce everything in the letter, but would provide documents related to the movement of documents from the White House to the Biden Penn Center. The interview is scheduled in April 4th. Chung, who now works at the Pentagon, was interviewed earlier this year by the Justice Department, probe of classified documents found at Biden's home and office. I'm just curious. Really? That's just what it goes to? Let's see here. That was February. No. That's February. See here. Search. Let's see if there's any updates from CNN. Let's hear. Told federal prosecutor. No. Let's see here. Comer demands transcript interview documents from Biden. That was May 5th. Let's see here. Didn't know. Let's see here. Normally I have this all set up, but let's see here. The oversight. Blah, blah, blah. Staging. Roden. Coomer says he wants more. This was back in May. Let's see here. Doesn't really matter. From what I'm understanding, that she was told that it wasn't behind locked doors and was unsecured. But that's not why you clicked on this video. You clicked on this one. Trump arrives in Miami for Tuesday arraignment on federal charges. See here. Now keep in mind that Joe Biden, Hillary Clinton, Mike Pence were never president. Well, Joe Biden is currently the president, but at the time of the crime, they weren't president. A president. Mike Pence was a vice P. Joe Biden was Obama's VP. Hillary Clinton was Bill Clinton's wife. She was a senator, secretary of state, which the office of the president, and I say the office of the president, can just declassify at a whim any documents, whether or not you agree that it's morally right or if he could do it without oversight is, I guess, debatable and I guess we'll have a court case. But former President Donald Trump arrived in Miami Monday afternoon where he will spend the night at the Trump National Dorrell before his federal arraignment on 37 felony counts on Tuesday. That's going to happen tomorrow. Trump is expected a motorcade Tuesday from Trump National Dorrell, I think it's Dorrell, to a federal courthouse on Miami. Trump told Fox News on Friday that he will plead not guilty to the charges, which is related to his alleged mishandling of classified documents. Keep in mind, the president can declassify any documents he wants. Trump supporters have already begun lining up in the courthouse, CBS Miami reported. Groups such as the Florida Republican Assembly plan to be at the courthouse as well. Miami Police Chief Manny Morales said on Monday that the city is ready for protests ranging anywhere between 5,000 to 50,000 people, and he has encouraged any demonstrations to be peaceful. Yes, we have the right to peacefully assemble for protests. I just want to assure that the city that we're ready and we're ready for it to be over and done, Morales said. I don't blame you, man. I don't blame you. Security for the Trump court appearance will involve multiple law enforcement agencies, including U.S. Marshal, who are responsible for securing the courthouse and federal grounds. U.S. Secret Service, which is responsible for providing security for Trump as a former president. Miami police will be responsible for the streets and around the federal courthouse and dealing with protesters, as well as the Miami-Dade County Police, who will provide additional security around the courthouse. Trump National Dorrell and the movement of Donald Trump around the country. Florida Highway Patrol to help with road closures and Florida Department of Law Enforcement. After the arraignment, Trump is expected to return to his Bedminster Golf Club, give remarks, and hold a fundraiser. I wonder if he'll be streaming that like he did the last time he was arraigned in New York. A CBS News poll release found that Republicans' primary voters are still supportive of Trump despite federal indictments, with 61% saying that it wouldn't change their opinion of him and 14% saying that they view him for the better. 3/4 of the GOP primary voters said that they believe the indictments were politically motivated. Trump hit the campaign trail over the weekend, heading to both the Georgia Republican Convention and North Carolina Republican Convention. He railed against Special Counsel Jack Smith, who was overseeing the investigation not only into the alleged document mishandling, but also Trump's actions around the January 6, 2021 attack on the Capitol. I mean, I guess you could call it an attack. It was I don't know what to call it, to be honest. It wasn't a full-on attack. I think it was unruly or unlawful assembly within a government building. He called Smith deranged and Trump hater and insists that the indictment is baseless because he was president. He could take home anything, and that automatically declassifies it. There was actually a case with Bill Clinton's tape. Now, people want to say it's different because that was more of a journal base. That was classified as personal use. But the fact is that he recorded it while he was on the job at the White House. Therefore, it becomes government property. And the judge says that it was up to the president to decide whether that was his or not, unreliably. And that's going to be a case that hopefully Trump brings up because I think it's relevant. It's not one for one the same, but it's definitely similar. Let's see here. Smith unsealed the 44-page indictment on Friday, which included 31 counts of willfully retention of classified documents, one count of conspiracy to obstruct justice, and several other counts related to concealing or withholding documents. At least four other charges carry a potential maximum sentence of 20 years in prison. Also charged with the indictment was co-conspirator was Walt Nalta, an aide to Trump who served as the White House valet. In a brief statement after the unsealment of the indictment, Smith said he'll seek a speedy trial and he's urging Americans to read the indictment for themselves to understand the scope of the gravity of the crimes charged. So my issue with this is every president that's currently alive, former president, needs to have indictments. That includes Jimmy Carter, that includes Bush Jr., that includes Bill Clinton, and then Obama, because they've all done something similar. Just because you work with the authorities or not, they've all taken home government documents. What is Trump charged with? Third one counts of willfully retention of classified documents. Well, he is the state and he could declassify documents at will. One count of conspiracy, obstruction of justice. I don't know what that's all about. One count withholding document or record. Once again, he's able to do that because he's president. One count of corruptly concealing a document or record. Once again, he's president. He could declassify. One count of scheme to conceal. Once again, he was the president and he could declassify documents. One count of making false statement or representations. Don't know what that is. Nuda Trump, 40-year-old former valet, was charged with 6 counts. One count of conspiracy of obstruction of justice. One count of withholding a document or record. One count of corruptly concealing a document or record. One count of concealing a document in federal investigation. One count of scheme of conceal. One count of making false statements or representations. I'm pretty sure this guy or gal, whoever this person is, probably is going to serve some prison time unless Trump wins and pardons them. Trump opponents for the Republican nominee tried to walk the line between hitting their rival and alienating his supporters. I'm just going to be honest here. Whoever is gets the nomination is going to need the MAGA vote. They're going to need the American First vote. That's the Make America Great Again vote. That's going to carry the GOP to winning numbers. Whoever it is going to be, they're going to need that vote. And that vote mostly supports President Donald Trump. At the campaign event this weekend, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, seen as Trump's biggest rival, called out the representation of the Justice Department, but Santos also indirectly criticized Trump. As a Navy officer, if I would have taken classified documents to my apartment, I would have been court-martialed in a New York minute, DeSantis says. Yes, as a Navy officer, you are not the president or even part of the House of Representatives at the time. I think it was the House of Representatives. That's not something that's allotted to him as a Navy officer. Trump was the president of the United States, and that is awarded to him. You could think it's fair or unfair, but that is the way it's set up. There's a different standards for Democratic Secretary versus the former Republican president. DeSantis continued drawing comparison to the investigation to the former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton's use of a private email server, which James Comey said that she broke the law, but no prosecutor would press charges because when the Clintons have a body count. I mean, it's not really conspiracy theory, but there is people mysteriously drop dead around them. I think there needs to be one standard of justice in this country. Let's enforce it on everyone to make sure that we all know the rules. You can't have one faction socially weaponize the power of the state against fraction that it doesn't like and that's what you see. He makes a valid point. Fellow President hopeful not Ted, but Tim Scott of South Carolina also said that he sees a double standard in charging Trump, though he's noted that this case is a serious case with serious allegations. But in America, you're innocent until proven guilty, Scott added. CBS Miami Jim DeFepi contributed to this report. So that is how the news is portraying it. I mean, the news is awfully quiet against Kathy Chung. Let's see here. I'm actually kind of curious here. That's Black Hills Pioneer. I mean, let's just look at it. Removal and go away pop up was caught. Key player in Biden document removal was caught up in Bill Clinton era China Gate scandal. Custodian of Joe Biden's vice presidential records was a key witness in his classified probe. Was caught up in another document scandal while working for the Commerce Department during the Clinton administration. Court records revealed longtime Biden aide and gatekeeper Kathy S. Chung, who has been interviewed by federal prosecutor and congressional investigators in Biden case, was part of a team sanctioned for withholding and even destroying key documents in a federal case that has sought sensitive records from a central figure in the so-called Chinagate fundraiser investigation in the late 1990s. The Real Clear investigation has learned exclusively a special prosecutor is now investigating whether Biden unlawfully handled top secret materials in early 2017 when he tasked Chung with the removable boxes containing classified documents from the White House and stored them in various private offices in D.C., including the Chinatown neighborhood. Some of the highly sensitive paper also ended up in his home in Wilmington, Delaware. Knowing that Chung came into Biden's orbit through working with the president's son, Hunter, during the 1990s congressional investigation, want to know what the Biden family dealings in China have anything to do with the stockpiling of classified documents. They note that the mishandling of White House papers took place during a 14-month period between 2017 and 2018 when the Chinese were wiring almost $6 million in payments to Hunter and his uncle Jimmy Biden without providing any known legitimate services. They have expressed concerns that the payments, in which were flagged by the U.S. Treasury Department, were part of the Chinese intelligence gathering operation. Chung is central to the Justice Department investigation of Biden's breach of classified documents. That's a lot of freaking tags. But yeah, that's the only thing. I mean, I don't know anything about Black Hills Pioneers, but that seems to be the only one that's pulling it up by this person. I mean, you see it right here. I search Kathy Chung. There's not a single news source. I mean, I was able to find a CNN news source, but that was back in February. And then, of course, we got this one right here, which I don't even know if it has that. Comer says he wants more detailed tests. I mean, that's really all it is to it. I don't know. It's interesting and discerning that there seems to be a two-tier. There appears to be a two-tier justice system now. Justice tends to go slowly, and the fact that Joe Biden's currently the president and he could pardon anybody, including themselves, during now and through the election, probably means that they probably might be holding off until he is out of office or the House wants to make sure that they have a solid case that even the Senate has to take up the case that they choose to impeach him. Or it could be that there's a two-tier system and we're seeing it correctly. With that being said, that is my video down below. I would like to say that nobody's above the law, including Trump and Biden and Hillary Clinton, but evidence is not showing that, like, not showing it in that direction. Like I said, I remember when Hillary was, all charges were dropped because James Comey says no prosecutor would prosecute her, probably because they're afraid of her. But that is my video for today. That being said, have yourself a wonderful day, morning, or evening.